Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is Andy in Singapore. If you haven't done so, I'd like to remind you to remember to like and subscribe to my channel because I've got new videos uploaded every week just for you. In today's video, we are going to do a full review of the new Orient 40mm Mako. So this is a really new release. I think it was launched in late July. At the launch of this new model, there were 4 colorways available. So this one is done in apricot. Alright, so for the first time, Orient, they have chosen really interesting color names for their dial. So we have apricot here, and there's also a really nice looking lilac dial which comes on a grey leather strap. What's new and interesting about this design, this Mako 40mm, of course, the case size. Alright, so it is smaller at 40mm, and of course they have this uniform type of stainless steel bezel insert look. So for the first wave, the first launch, all 4 watches come with this stainless steel bezel insert. Reference number for the apricot dial is RA-AC0Q05B10. Alright, so a really easy to remember reference number. I'm just going to call this one the 40mm Mako. At first glance, this watch has very classic proportions, 40mm case size. It comes on a leather NATO in this case, or rather in this dial version. Now if the lens zoom in very slightly, let's have a closer look at the Orient 40mm Mako. As the model name implies, it's got a case size of 40mm. Actual dimension, actual measurement states that this is just under 40mm. The overall thickness here is 12.9mm. That's measuring from this case back here, which is a non-display case back, to the top of the flat sapphire crystal, which sits slightly proud of the bezel. We've got a lug width of 20mm, making this one a strap monster. So really looks good on a leather strap. Never mind the practicality of a leather strap on a dive watch. Alright, it looks good. You can definitely put this one on a canvas strap, alright, or a rubber strap, and of course it also looks good with the original bracelet. I'm pretty sure you can get the bracelet with an add-on, maybe pay a bit more to get the bracelet so you get the best of both worlds. L to L distance here is very manageable, coming in at only 46.5mm, and I think this will fit any wrist size. Speaking of the watch movement, this is obviously one of the more entry-level type of movement. Caliber number is F6722. I'm pretty sure it is a counterpart, direct counterpart with the Seiko 4R type of movement, and this does not have the day wheel. So it could be a stripped down version, a simplified version of Kamasu's movement. Here are some more measurements not mentioned on Orient's website. The watch here has a bezel size of 38.6mm, depending on where you're measuring from. So I typically measure from the midpoint here, not the widest point, and I got this measurement 38.6mm. And finally, we've got a crystal size of about 30.3mm. So the dial here is very legible. We don't have things like chapter rings or too much printings on the dial. At the time of this video, the Orient 40mm Mako can be bought for about Singapore dollars 360, and you can definitely find this watch from our boutique. So this is where the watch was loaned in from. Let me take some time to thank my good friend Eric at our boutique for so generously loaning me all the watches for my video reviews. Let's move on and talk about the overall design and build quality of the 40mm Mako. So at this price point here, under 400 Singapore dollars with sapphire crystal, I would say this is obviously in the entry level price zone. And in terms of build quality, in terms of finishing, I think it is on point. It befits the price point as well. We're not getting very high-end polishing or finishing, but I think it's adequate for the price that this watch is going for. So the watch case here has got a mainly polished finish. You can see that the case side here is polished, and the top of the lugs are brushed, as is this bezel insert here, which is done in a brushed steel finish. I'm not a big fan of this look, but I think it offers something new as opposed to the numerous aluminum inserts from the entry-level Orients we are seeing. I'm liking this engraving though. The engraving done on the bezel insert here is really nice. A nice texture going on here. I've also got a really nice sign crown here, which offers enough grip. So in terms of crown size, I would say this is not the biggest crown, but it sort of fits the watch. Alright, so unlike the Kamasu is a slightly bigger watch and it has more or less the same crown. But on the Kamasu, the crown will feel and look much smaller, but for this 40mm Mako, it feels just right. And in terms of crown operation, in terms of grip, I think I have no complaints on this one. It is a screw down crown and the watch does have a 200 meters water resistance rating, but do bear in mind that this is not an ISO rated diver. So let's go on and talk a little bit on the strap that it comes on. For the apricot and lilac dial models, they come strapped on this leather nato here. Looks good, feels good, very thin material, but like I said earlier in my video, I questioned the use of a leather nato on a dive watch. The hardware here looks good as well. We've got a nicely signed buckle here. And let's move on to the dial design and the overall color combination of this watch. This apricot dial here looks amazing. Just the right amount of sunburst. Doesn't look cheap. Alright, that's most important. So for dials that are different, some special looking colors, you don't want it to look overly bright or cheap. So I think Orient has done a good job in choosing this color. I would say the overall dial design and layout of the markers, they definitely go towards the simpler side of things. Very simple looking stick markers. We've got slightly bigger looking markers at 12:06 and 9 o'clock. And of course there's this marker here that's being replaced by the date wheel here at 3 o'clock. But overall this dial remains very clean. There is no chaptering. There is a printed minute track. And after my unbox video, another local reviewer, Jason of Beyond 36 channel, he actually made a comment on my video saying that there's something wrong with the printing here of the minute track. And I'd like you to have a closer look at the 26 to 29 minute marker. Alright, so over here it does seem like, Orient has done a bad job with their dial printing. Okay, so you can see here that at 26-27 minutes, something seems to be missing. Alright, or the print just looks a little bit uneven. The spacing, that is. Okay, so I don't think this is intentional. I think this is a mistake on Orient's part with regards to the printing. On to the Lume shot on the 40mm Mako. Alright, so the lume here is really nicely applied and I think it glows pretty brightly. Not quite Seiko diver standard, but that could be because the markers here are rather small, and in terms of real estate, the lume application here, the area isn't that big, but I think overall the lume brightness is definitely good enough. We are missing the lume pip though, so do bear in mind that this is not an ISO rated diver. Here's a look at the wrist shot of the 40mm Mako on my wrist. So at this case size and overall dimensions with regards to thickness as well as L to L, I think this is the magic spot, right? It's a sweet spot in terms of diver watch. At 40mm, at under 13mm thickness, it will never go wrong. So there is a bit of a increased height from this double pass NATO here. I'm never a big fan of NATO strap, so if I were to wear this watch, I'll definitely wear it on a rubber strap or a usual regular type of leather strap with a nice taper, right, to give it a more classy look. And here's a really quick size comparison between the 40mm Mako and the BB58, the OG BB58 at 39mm, and both watches, they look very similar in terms of dimensions, around the 39 to 40mm case size. Overall thickness is pretty similar as well, 12 versus 12.9. But when you look at both watches this way, at first glance, you will feel that the BB58 looks like it's the bigger watch. I guess this is due to the fact that the bezel, color and design, they're quite different for these two watches. So typically when you have a contrasting bezel and dial color, the watch tends to look just that bit smaller, as opposed to the same color for dial and bezel. In summary, I would say this new 40mm case size is going to be well received. It's going to be a very popular watch because, you know, these days people are moving towards slightly smaller case sizes for their watches. Obviously, there are some dive watch fans out there who have been calling Orient to make a smaller diver as opposed to the 42mm or 44mm divers. So this is definitely going to be a popular model. It comes at the right price point as well, with beautiful looking dial options. But my advice would be to go for the watches that come on a bracelet, all right, to offer that bit more of versatility when it comes to strap changes. Alternatively, if you like the summer color dial versions, definitely pay a little bit more to purchase the original Orient bracelet to go along with it. So that was my review of the new 40mm Orient Mako diver. I would say this is a really good addition to their catalog. I think for smaller case size divers like this kind of watches, I think there will be a big fan base going on for it. So this is definitely the right move by Orient. Alright, so if you like this watch, if you like this video, please remember to come back here every week for new watch review videos. This is Andy in Singapore signing off together with George, Pixie and Rolly Polly. We're gonna say goodbye now. Bye bye.